As you may have expected, Fireworks, being a screen imaging application, can handle a number of formats. These include PSD from Photoshop, AI from Illustrator, Gif images, and of course JPEG images from wherever. So let's take a look at how all these work. And to get yourself started, open up the cow.jpg image located in your exercise folder. And when it opens, you'll see that there's an image of a cow on the screen. This cow is happily munching on grass in a field in Switzerland. This is a JPEG image. You can see right up here it is a JPEG image, and if you come to the Layers panel, you'll see that it's actually flattened. It comes in as a bitmap. You can name the image, and as soon as you start manipulating the image and making selections or doing other stuff with it, this Layers panel, these sublayers, will start to expand to the point where you either have to decide to flatten it, or which makes it just a series of pixels on a flat surface, or maintain the layer editability. There are pros and cons for both, and we'll get into those later on. The other file format that you can bring in is PSD. So if you go to File, Open, and come down here to the cow PSD image, and there's that cow. You can see it's fairly big, 3872 by 2592. And that's going to be a big image, so we're going to have to do some stuff with it, and I'll show you what you can do in a sec. Click Open, and the Photoshop File Options dialog box opens up. Now, this is kind of a neat dialog box because what it does is it allows you to bring in your Photoshop images, or PSDs, bring them in intact. That means with layers and filters and all kinds of things applied to them. Many of the adjustment layers and things like that may not move in, so just make sure that you've got this thing properly set up. I'm not going to get into all the details, but you can bring your Photoshop layers in. Now, one of the things you want to take a look at is right here, this size here. That's awfully big. And the resolution of 300 pixels per inch is great for a magazine, but boy, it's not going to work on an iPhone or even a computer screen. And if you take a look at the size in the Fireworks document itself, it's 600 by 402. Well, you can address that issue right here. So you just change the size to 600. And you notice that because you've got constrained proportions selected, it will size out to the size that we've got there. And if we take the resolution down, you can see that as you reduce the resolution, so too does the physical dimensions of the file. So let's take it back up to 600. Now, what we're doing here is not hurting the image. We're just basically saying, look, we just want to bring it in at this size and this resolution. Fireworks, you do the rest of the work. Other options here: maintain layer editability over appearance. This would be if you've got text layers, or you've maybe got a couple of Photoshop effects, or you may want to work with them. Maintain the layer appearance. This is standard stuff. Custom settings from preferences. You can actually set the preferences for Fireworks and how to handle it. Or even worse, if you do not want to work with the layers, just flatten it into a single image. That's not a really good option to have because you can always flatten later. And if you click Show Preview, there's our cow. Click OK, and it's going to actually open a brand new document. And there's the cow. You can see that it's a PSD image. And if I come over to the Layers panel right here, you can see there's the sky, there's the background. So these are the two Photoshop layers. I'm going to close that. Now, the other format, of course, is Illustrator, which is an AI document. And you can actually import them. And importing an Illustrator document is just the same as you would use to import an image. So let's put an Illustrator drawing on top of the cow here. So it's File, Import. And you're going to look for Ornament AI. And it looks just like a little ornament. You click OK or Open. And Fireworks will read the file. And again, the vector file options will open. It's going to ask you what the height and width are, and you can do that right here. So let's set the width to 300. Yeah, let's go with 300 pixels. You notice it's set up to come in with proportion applied to it. This is good. Now, you don't want to work with pixels, inches, or centimeters. It just does not make sense. Notice there's a scaling dialog box here, or a slider, so you can actually scale it as you bring it in. And then it's going to ask you for file conversion. Now, Illustrator gives you the opportunity to use artboards, so you can bring in particular artboards. You can remember what the layers look like. Layers to states, this is interactivity and buttons and things like that, and we'll get into animation later on in this course. If there are invisible layers in the artwork, it will bring them in. And it can render as images groups of over 30 objects. You can have very complex drawings, and it will turn them into JPEGs as it brings them in. Click OK. And you see a little angle bracket here. That's the import gun. And if you give it one click, there's the image. And the really cool thing about it is, notice as you roll over it, if you come over to the sub-selection tool, it is actually a collection of vectors. So I can actually change my Illustrator image right inside of Fireworks. Okay, and if you come over to the Layers panel, you can see there it is there. It's just a group of two objects. Let's get this out of here. So you just select the layer, press the delete key. And finally, of course, there's the good old GIF image. Now, GIF images are really something to handle with a little bit of care. So we're going to import the cow GIF image. And just click open. And we'll just lay it in. And you can see right off the bat why GIF images are dangerous to be working with. This cross-hatching, you can see some banding in here for the sky. The grass looks really pixelated. Even the cow looks kind of flat. Remember, GIF images are limited in color size. They are limited in file size. And when you're working with stuff that has very subtle color changes, GIF is not appropriate. So there you go. There's how you work with bringing in the various file formats. I've shown you how to open a document and change it. I've shown you how to import a PSD and bring the layers in intact and change the resolution. Keep an eye on the resolution. How to bring in an Illustrator image and edit it, which is a vector image, and how to import a GIF image.